Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. That movie was amazing. Incredible, in fact. The pacing, the drama, the music, the action. Oh, I've never seen action like that in a film before. They're going to be talking about this movie in 35 years' time. It's going to be that much of a classic. It's just changed cinema. That was the original Terminator. Terminator Dark Fate? Not so much. Terminator Dark Fate. I just came back from a screening about 2 hours ago. Caught the early session. This is going to be interesting. I'm not going to do too much preparation or editing this time. I'm just going to sort of go from my gut, and I think that's how movies should be reviewed. The older I get, the more I stop making excuses for them. And look, when a film is what it is what it is, and you know it is what it is, and no amount of, oh, this and that, but the lighting was good or whatever, is going to make up for it. So, here we go.
I'll be back.
Arnie's back! And Sarah Connor. Both together again in another Terminator film. And this one just wants you to forget everything that's gone before after Terminator 2. That includes 3 feature films and 2 seasons of a television series. The future has never been more confusing, I can tell you. Yeah, directed by Tim Miller. You might remember him from Deadpool. I enjoyed the first Deadpool. It was entertaining enough, and he proved a competent hand at action sequences and comedy. But Terminator Dark Fate, like most movies, we've seen it all before. Many, many times, just variations on a theme. Now, look, I was excited for this because James Cameron was coming back. And he didn't direct it, of course, but he had a hand in producing it and writing it and story. I think he's got a story credit, and there's like about half a dozen writers on this thing. But yeah, I just found it a bit of a wasted opportunity and a bit of a useless exercise. Look, really, to me, it wasn't any better than some of the films that have gone before it since Terminator 2. Now, plot. If you've seen any of the trailers that have come out, it basically tells you all that you need to know. It basically almost shows you the whole film. What we know is another Terminator's come out and back, and this time he's after a young girl. And the female comes back from the future as well, and she's there to protect the young girl. But there's something not normal about her, and things look bad, and Sarah Connor shows up to save the day. And guess what? Arnie shows up 3/4 of the way through the film, and he helps him out with the bad Terminator who's coming. Oh gosh. Chase, run, chase, end up in a factory. Lots of machines clanking around. Fight. I suppose if that's your thing, it's okay. Now look, the original Terminator film was a masterpiece in low-budget cinema. James Cameron, straight out of the gate, young director with a very, very small budget. And what he did was just incredible. I mean, you can still watch Terminator now and get thrilled by it. The action sequences were just incredible. The editing was incredible. The music was great. And you had fantastic characters. I mean, Arnie was amazing as the Terminator in the film. He was perfect for the role. And Michael Biehn as well. My gosh, that guy can act.
Listen and understand that Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop. Ever. until you are dead.
He was amazing as Kyle Reese. Linda Hamilton too, a young actress. And the movie had heart, the movie had pacing, and you really cared about what happened to those characters. I hadn't really ever seen an action film like it when it first came out. But Terminator Dark Fate, it's just a very, very bland, watered down type sort of experience. Now, Terminator Dark Fate, I'm just looking at IMDb, had actually 5 credits for the story. 5 people got together to come up with this, including Jim Cameron. It writes like it like Terminator fan fiction. Like, a 14-year-old wrote a third Terminator movie, just as far as its structure was concerned. And the screenplay, 3 credits for the screenplay. 3 people took a stab at this, and this is the best that they could come up with, even with Jim Cameron's involvement. Really? Yeah, it's not all bad news. The cast, I think, were great. It's great to see Linda Hamilton back again as Sarah Connor, and she still brings it. She's still, it's a Sarah that we would have expected to see 35 years after the first movie, or 30 years since Terminator 2, if this is supposed to be a direct sequel. And she's grizzled like somebody would be 30 years later, dealing with stuff all the time. She's basically become a Terminator herself, terminating Terminators. A bit hard and a little bit down and depressed, and sort of like another character I can think of in the last couple of years who disappeared for 30 years, Luke Skywalker. Well, Arnie was Arnie, as Arnie always is. He doesn't turn up for probably the first hour and 20 minutes, I suppose. Yeah, and when he finally does appear, he doesn't really bring too much to the story this time around. He's got quite a funny backstory, and they do try and mine that for humour. But there's no chemistry there between Arnie and the leads. I mean, you look at Arnold and Edward Furlong as John Connor in Terminator 2. I mean, there was real comedy, there was a real bond, a real relationship was formed.
You just can't go around killing people.
Why?
What do you mean, why? 'Cause you can't.
Why?
Because you just can't, okay? Trust me on this.
Now, Mackenzie Davis, she plays sort of like the Kyle Reese character who comes back from the future to help out, and she's sort of not as she seems. There again, a bit of a lackluster attempt, I thought, with her character. Yeah, she's solid with what she does, but, with somebody else behind the lens, I think it would have been a bit more fleshed out and had a bit more meaning to her character. Now, Natalia Reyes, she plays Danny Ramos, who is basically the girl who the film is centered around, and very, very competently with what she had to work with. There again, she didn't have much. Now, Gabriel Luna, he played the Terminator, or Rev 9. He did okay. I mean, you can act tough and mean and hard and cold, and he did very well at that. But there was no real surprises with him. We look at Robert Patrick in Terminator 2, and obviously at the time with the visual effects, that was quite stunning, what they did with Robert Patrick. Really, really missed Jim Cameron on this one. The only time where it really lifted was when Brad Fiddel's themes came filtering through it from the previous films. And, Arnie's got to have his Terminator theme, and that was great. Yeah, nothing very special there with the music, unfortunately. Yeah, now my gut feeling while watching the film. I enjoyed it, open-minded, and then probably about 10 minutes into it, I thought, okay, it's going to be one of these. The action scenes themselves, they happen and they're competently done, but there was nothing there to grab me and hold me and to keep me on the edge of my seat. Now, these people are going to get out of this situation, and no wonder moments. There was no gasps of amazement. I got about halfway through and I thought, you know what? This is the Terminator's Force Awakens. Very much like The Force Awakens in its structure, and I'm sure that's going to be some of the criticism that gets labelled of the film as well. As a Terminator sequel, it was a bit of a lacklustre affair. I really think they should end it here. If you're going to muck around with your timeline and bring out so many different movies and say, hey, now this is the real story. Now this one is the real story. Hey, now the TV series is actually the proper sequel to Terminator 2, as was touted at the time. But it's just seriously more of the same. Look, I might say, look, I didn't hate the movie. Okay, I didn't hate the movie. It's just something I'm not going to remember, and no one's going to remember this movie. It's going to be like all the other Terminator films that have come since Terminator 2. Take that for what it's worth. But anyway, go and see it for sure. It'll be interesting to see what people think about it. Just don't expect anything gigantic. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next 24 frames. See ya.